Hello again, friends, and welcome to another fine edition of 151. I'm Adam, and of course I'm joined by a man that only listens to David Bowie at night, or in the bathtub. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Justin.
Thank you very much.
Of course, this is 151. You can join us on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. Also, follow us on Twitter, 151 The Show, and on Facebook, it's about the same. There'll be information at the bottom of the page for this. We are deviating from our usual talks of sci-fi and fantasy.
Because we are deviated.
A little bit, I would agree with that. But we're going into a world that I really like. Justin could care less. Doesn't care. Doesn't like it, doesn't want to be a part of it.
I don't know that I'd go that
the
far.
people that are into it.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, we're going to dive into the world of the paranormal today. Joining us, the team leader from Paranormal Endeavors, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Kline.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Yeah, if we had a live studio audience, it'd be a lot bigger. No, Eric's on today to talk about ghosts, ghost hunting, spirits, anything that kind of goes bumpy, creepy in the night. Ooh, I kind of went to like Doctor Who there.
You kind of did.
Wibbly wobbly.
Timey-wimey.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. No, so Eric, you are the team leader of Paranormal Endeavors. You've got the YouTube channel, you've got websites, you've got DVDs, apparently, in front of you.
Yep, I brought this. This is kind of our latest. It's chapter 4, and we call them chapters or like seasons, but has our latest cases in there. As we investigate, we record them, and try to educate people. Since we're a nonprofit, this is our only way to try to get a little bit of money right now. So.
Just so you can get a little bit of scratch and a little bit of, hey, we can do this and have more equipment too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the easy place to start with all this is, how did you get into this stuff? Because it's, I mean, when you hear the, ghost hunting, I mean, there's all kinds of shows on TV and stuff. It's like, did you get in because you liked it? Did you get in because, I want to be on TV? Or what was it for you?
I always had a fascination with it, going back to when I was just a little kid, actually. And like a lot of people at that time, I was really interested in, UFO stuff and paranormal stuff. Yeah. And then I noticed, that show that was on at that time that was kind of leading the way. It was on Sci-Fi at that time. And I'd watched that, and I was wondering if there was a show in Iowa that was kind of, or a group in Iowa that was doing that. And I researched. I did find one at that time. It was one of the only ones at that time before, like, everybody seemed to get on the bandwagon. And I reached out to them, not to even ask to join. I just reached out to them to thank them for what they were doing.
Okay.
And that's when they wrote back to me, because they knew I was at the University of Iowa for film studies at that time, and they were trying to get a public access channel thing going. And so they invited me on, and that's how I got into my first group.
So that was your first group. Paranormal Endeavors is your own one that you... Okay, I didn't know if you slowly took over. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, guess what? I'm the boss.
It was a coup. He sees power from within.
There you go. Yeah. Eric Kline joins us now. We'll have all his information up on the bottom of the page and so on and so forth. So you get into this. How long was it before you went on your first hunt? Or, I mean, what was the timeline there?
Yeah, it was fall of 2005. So you go back to that time when I got into it. And we went on my first case ever in a investigative world was a private residence. And so from there, then I kind of stayed with them for about a year or so. Didn't agree with everything that they were doing in their methodology. And so then I branched off into another team for about 2.5 years or so. They worked more on the spiritual. That's why I kind of left. I wanted to dive into that because there's feelings and stuff that people get, sensations, more than just the hair rising up on your back, And the first team didn't really open to that at all. I mean, they would dismiss you if you said anything about, okay, this is what I'm sensing, because a human is a tool too. So then I was with that group for a while, and then at that time kind of branched off to where I wanted to do this series as well under my own creativity and stuff like that. You wanted to be
the boss.
Yeah, exactly. And so I branched off because originally I wasn't wanting to even do a team. I figured it'd be stressful. Yeah. Wouldn't be able to focus on what I wanted to focus on because I have to tell other people, okay, this is where you should set up this equipment. This is what you should, where you should investigate. And I was doing case manager duty at that time too. So I was calling and talking to the clients firsthand.
I gotcha.
So at that time, that's when I started bringing in people, and I went ahead and I launched it in March of 2010. And we've been going strong ever since. And the funny thing is, it's like, if you'd asked me back then if we would last a year, I probably would have laughed at you and said no. At that time.
What's the line from Avengers? We're not a team. We're a Bruce Banner says it.
Or a train wreck or a bomb waiting to go off or something.
I
like
really
that.
ruined this.
Yeah, you did.
Anyways, Eric,
why do you keep asking me things? You know I can't
you
answer.
Drink and you know things.
Yes, but you know I can't answer when you ask me things.
Well, what the hell are you doing?
I know.
Eric Kline is joining us. This is 151. You can join us on our YouTube channel, also Twitter at 151 Show, and Facebook as well. I'm under the belief that there's a lot of people out there that when they get into this sort of thing, there's always, and if you really believe in it, there's usually one thing that started it. There's one instance where it goes from, okay, this is kind of intriguing. This is, I'm curious about it too. Damn, there's something going on. Do you have that one starting experience?
Well, actually, yes. It was linked to my spiritual side, and why I wanted to get into that was because when I was a little kid, going back to that time frame, I always had this, some people would say imaginary friend, I knew it was a male, and I was just he was just with me all the time. Okay. I didn't know who he was or why he was there, The term spirit guide didn't come up until later on in my studies, but at that time when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you don't know, know. And I always talked to him and stuff like that. He was actually kind of like my go-to person. I talked to him more than some of the living people, so
essentially like my cat is to me now.
Yeah.
I talk to my cat all the time. I don't know about you, Justin.
I don't talk to your cats. I'm only over here on occasion.
Thank you. And
You're
the
welcome.
wink was sexy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
So you had the quote-unquote imaginary friend that was probably more than imaginary friend.
Yes. Yeah. Where a lot of parents, they might hear that, it's a boogeyman under the bed or in the closet kind of story. And
did he ever scare you? Was it a he? I should ask that.
Yep. I sensed he was. How'd I know? I'm not sure. It's just one of those things I felt that he was. Yes.
So is this dude still around? Do you guys hang out on the weekend?
Very much so, but I don't talk to him as much as I used to. I think it was more of a awakening part of my life to get me into this and doing what I'm doing. And so once his job was kind of done, I didn't really talk to him as much because now I'm helping other people communicate with what they might have in their house.
Okay, so that's your first experience is better than a lot of people's.
Mm-hmm. And it was a nice one. It wasn't like the Sixth Sense type thing, That's a big traumatizing first experience for some.
See, that's the interesting thing, and I really do think that people, if you've had that one moment that you can't explain, then you're a lot more open to going in and being like, okay, yeah, there might be something going on here, but there might not be. Have you had something like that, Justin?
Yeah, we yes and no. There was a moment the day my wife's grandfather died. That various family members, something weird, just one incident that something weird, I kept thinking that somebody was standing over my shoulder all afternoon.
Okay.
And I can't tell you, I know there was a list of 3 or 4 people that, said that something was going on that day. It was all coincidental around the same time. It's,
So you bring that up, and you've probably heard it a lot. I mean, there are a lot of stories like that of when someone dies, there are weird things that happen around it. And weird is probably not the best word for it, but for
things that might be unknown.
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks after a passing is usually very average time for something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that. Because, for my uncle who lived across the street, one thing that happened was his daughter, for whatever reason, she got a voicemail popped up on her phone that morning. The morning of his funeral. I mean, the dude's been dead for a while. And it was him, and it said, hey, I can't talk to you unless you pick up the phone. And for whatever reason, he had called and left the message, and it got stuck in the system until that morning, which is, needless to say, weird. And then my mom saw him sitting outside a couple days later.
There you go.
So
Yep.
it's weird things like that. So I guess a good place to go from here is with what you do. A lot of people are going to judge it based on what they see on TV, and there's a lot, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
Hell, what are some of the other ones? The Euro one with the guy that always gets possessed, which is just like, okay.
Yeah, there's that one's Most Haunted.
Yep,
That was out
yep.
there, and
What's the biggest difference from what you do compared to, or I should say the real life version of that compared to the TV we need something to put on?
well, several things. First of all,
I mean, needless to say, it's probably safe to say it's boringer than what you think.
yes, it is, and we're not ratings driven, so that's another thing. It's a kind of a big thing, so we can care more about the people that we're helping. We're not trying to have like big production with us or with the network, pulling the strings and telling us what to do. And then the other things are that, and this kind of upsets me, and I've seen it evolve along the way from when I started even in 2005 to more recently, is glorifying the darkness, the evil, the things like that. And it's really sad that they're doing that, with all these new movies, and there's a new one out recently,
Conjuring 2.
Yeah, and embellish these things. And by they, I mean Hollywood, and the producers and everything. So it's not all evil, though, And the sad thing is, before another particular show, that I'll be nameless, there was a 3 scratch mark thing, and that was brought up at that time. And, of course, they were particularly interested in demonic and demon type hunts. We call them the demon chasers in the field. And nobody really talked about the 3 scratches, It wasn't so big in pop culture or whatever you want to call it. It just wasn't there. And then now it's associated with evil. Well, you can get scratched and it not be evil, It doesn't mean that it's an inhuman haunting or a demonic. There's spirits of just a regular angry spirit, for example, or one that's the only way they know how to get your attention.
It's to scratch.
Yes.
What do you think?
My cat does the same thing.
Cats. Cats are weird.
Yeah, they are. I have a cat named Ectoplasm, actually.
So really? That's his name, Ectoplasm?
Yep.
All right.
Befitting.
My cat's named Kinnick.
Mine's named Hank.
There you go. Eric Kline is joining us right now. He is part of Paranormal Endeavors. He is a team leader. You can find him. What's the website? It's paranormalendeavors.com, correct?
Yep.
So you can find everything there.
So I guess and you guys, obviously you're the expert. You've been into this as we've discussed. I'm just kind of, the outsider. When does somebody give you a call? What prompts this kind of stuff? I mean, what do you handle? What don't you handle? Because to me, I mean, there's a pretty wide range that we started talking about, from UFO stuff clear into and to me those are completely different subjects.
Correct.
So where are you focused on, and what is somebody going through when they give you a call?
Well, thing with that, and that's actually within our title, called paranormal. We don't call it, ghost anything or anything, because we don't want to be limited to just one subject. So we'll go into a place. We usually get contacted by email or a few phone calls, and it's usually folks that they have a wide variety of different things going on. It could be something as simple as they're just hearing strange noises in their house they're not accustomed to, seeing full-body apparitions possibly, and things like that. And, of course, we want to keep a level-headed mind. Yes, we have sensitives on the team, myself included, but we don't just go in there, and believe everything the client's saying to us right off the bat, Because if you do that, your credibility could suffer if you go in there and say, oh, well, strange noises in the house, and you're like, oh, it was a ghost, everything's paranormal. No, you got to keep level-headed about it.
There's a certain level of being a detective with this, correct?
Yep.
Of working the problem and seeing what's going on. So,
Paranormal Mythbusters.
Yeah.
That's another way.
Well, they actually had a couple shows like that. One didn't do too well because it was, there is no such thing. There's no possible way that it could be anything but what we just showed. It didn't last very long. It lasted 2 seasons. Second season was a lot more, well, it could be.
Yeah.
I could just imagine the producer notes. But when people are getting ready to call you, and I'm guessing all the contact information up on the website, correct?
Yep.
Paranormalendeavors.com. So, okay, I've got, let's say, I've got bumps in the night. I'm hearing stuff. Is that reason enough to call? Or what do you want people to call you about?
Anything, honestly, because you never know. It's just like you can't. No spirit acts on command. You know, so we go there. We're only there maybe one night out of the entire year. You know, we go back. That's great because then that's more of a solid foundation at that particular place. But for some people, a little bump or a little knock in the night is enough to scare them.
Yeah.
But cases like those, for example, there's things that we look for when we go into their place. Do they have nothing but horror movies in their collection?
Yep.
It's like, okay, because it can work your mind up. And then if you go to bed like that, of course you're going to be hearing stuff, you know?
I just wish I could figure out why I have cats walking on my bed when there's no cats. That's God's honest truth.
You have cats.
No, and I've told Eric about it before. Yeah. I'll be laying in bed, and it'll feel like one of my cats, Kenneth or Wrigley, will get up in bed and be walking across, and then I kind of lift my head up. There's nothing there. And this happens all the time. It's weird.
Any particular time of day that happens?
Just when I'm in bed.
Okay.
I mean, it's exactly like what a cat walking across you would be.
So it's
weird.
Lightweight. It's not like a heavy.
Yeah, it's like a cat's coming.
It's a bat.
Don't even start on that stuff. I do not want to go through the whole bat thing again.
We encounter them in places we go to. So.
One of the okay, say someone is thinking about calling you. What are some things that they can do, like, beforehand? Because I've always heard, write things down, like, specific times. Like, okay, I heard, right at this certain time on this certain day, and keep a journal. What else?
Yep.
What else can you do?
There's that, and then we'll ask them some questions such as, okay, we try to find a trigger for it, possibly, if it is truly paranormal. Okay, so when did it start? What happened during that time frame? Is there an event? Did you bring something home, as in like an object from someplace, a garage sale, antique store, that kind of thing? We start going through these questions, and if they're able to answer each of them and it still kind of leaves us, then we'll definitely, check it out, go in there, set up our equipment, and see.
Okay, here's the two. One is the easy one. Like you've done this for years now. The oddest thing that has happened that it's like, man, I cannot explain that. Versus, and I just thought of this, the one thing that you thought, man, we have got something awesome here, and it turned out to actually be something different.
Well, actually, there's as much as probably a third of our cases that are like that now.
Really?
Yes. And this is...
That you thought you had something.
Yeah. Well, because of the way that the clients explain stuff going on and stuff, it always sounds like, not always, but a lot of the time it sounds like it's 10 times worse than what it really is. So, and I think some of that has to do with going back to the movies and things like that, because there wasn't as many, demon cases back in the day.
Well, how many people are just pissed that, well, we don't think you have a ghost here. We don't think you have something. We think it's the house settling, the, air conditioner kicks on or something.
You have bumps in the night because your attic vents are flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are mad because of that?
I would say maybe 4 out of 10.
Really?
On an average, something like that. Because the case that comes to mind in particular was there's this woman who lived by herself, and we went in there and we investigated. We did actually multiple visits, more than just one, try to see what there was, because she thought there was something trying to harm her. She'd wake up with bruises, things like that. But how many of us scratched ourselves the other night,
The kid punches himself before he goes to sleep.
Yes. Yep.
And if you've ever seen a baby punch himself, it's hilarious.
So we went there. We had no activity that happened to us that we could prove, shadow of a doubt. Okay, there's paranormal something going on here. So that case, we actually, during the reveal, said that there wasn't really a whole lot that we found, But we entitled them to, they're welcome to get a second opinion and have someone else in if they want. But this lady was, in particular, going back to that other example, she had a lot of paranormal shows and stuff on her shelves and stuff like that. She was almost wanting something bad there, is what we felt. And
have you ever come across that someone wants something like, you talk about incubus or succubus, ghost that has sex with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
essentially.
I know what they are.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
Get sure.
There's a band.
Yes.
You know? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people want something like that in their house?
Not as much as that. Probably about a fourth of people that seem, in our belief, seem that they want something in there. Even if it's not evil, they just want something in there. And maybe it's a scapegoat to explain, something that might be going on psychologically.
Okay.
Something like that they don't want to come to terms with. And so it's easier to blame Casper,
Boy, just think if you had Casper in your house. He just run around.
He was a friendly ghost. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Why can't I find the ghost with big hoots?
Wow.
It likes to bend over a lot. Is there that ghost out there? Can we?
Not one like that, but
Like he'd tell you if there was.
I'll keep it for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There's Eric. Boy, I think we ought to go back to the Johnson's house.
No. I'll take this one myself, guys.
I got it.
Something soft and squishy going on here.
Has there been one like that? There, you show up and it's like, I can't. That's more funny than anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's spirit activity they like to play jokes on you, and some of them are kind of funny. We had one spirit entity, it was a duplex in Boone, and we were just talking about, just casual conversation, talking about other cases and where this one fell in the scheme of things. And we were talking about real ones with more of a dark energy and stuff, and the growls and stuff. And then you'd heard out loud, it sounded kind of like a, and we're like, what's that? It's like the spirit was trying to growl and he choked or something.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, nice one. You're funny.
That's good. That's good. Eric Kline is our guest right now on 151. All the information is at the bottom of the YouTube page because that's how we do it, or on SoundCloud. We're not cool like Eric and have a actual website. That's paranormalendeavors.com. What do you guys? I know you're doing the DVD stuff. It's the fourth. Chapter 4 is out. Where do they get this?
They can email us online. We talk about it online on our website. There's information for ordering it. And then we have it at expos and events that will come up through the year, and we'll be there, and we'll have it at our booth. Okay. That kind of thing.
I'm assuming you guys are on Facebook and Twitter, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I just don't have it in front of me because I'm pulling up some pictures.
They're constantly promoting and pull clips and little teaser clips, and we put it on our Facebook, too, to kind of pull the highlights in certain areas, try to educate people on certain things, and then if they want to continue and see the whole thing, then they have the DVDs options.
What's your next event you're gonna be at? Do you have one scheduled?
Don't have one right now, but I have actually 2 that have been invited to. They want us to come, and we haven't committed yet, so I'll have to see.
I don't know. That's a big hooted ghost with that bends over all the time. It's calling again. I think we can get some pretty good evidence.
Remember the Grimace? Or when he interviewed me for that Halloween special?
Yeah. I remember that. Is there on a different radio show in a different lifetime? Is there you talk about the big hoot ghost, but is there a place that you like to go that like you get excited to go to this place because 1, it's going to be a good night. 2, it's not going to be a waste of 10 hours.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple that come to mind. One is much more on the friendly sort. It's just kind of a crowded house. That's the Mason House Inn down in Bentonsport, Iowa, which is the southeast corner of the state. It's like living history farms in spirit. It's stuck in time. You have all these different spirits of Civil War soldiers that are there too, and things like that.
Okay.
They've actually caught a photograph of one before. We didn't, but it was guests that were there did. And then there's another one we get stuff all the time, but it's more of a be careful if you go kind of thing, and that's Edinburgh Manor.
I have heard story after story about you.
I know nothing about this place.
That's where we need to take you.
Tell me.
Oh.
So basically, I've been there about 3 or 4 times, and each time it's the same energies as we detect. We call it, because we kind of profile cases, kind of like Criminal Minds, you know.
Yeah.
Profile them, and this one has like a dominant intelligent energy, which means that when he comes in the room, he or she, that any of the other spirits of maybe lesser energy frequencies, they move, they scatter, and they just get out. So this one has one that's upstairs on the ground floor. He's just this big, mean sucker. He's intimidating because he comes off, he manifests as a large man. And then there's this other one he kind of goes all over the place, and we call him the creeper. We call him that because of the way he moves and he touches ladies' legs. So he's just kind of And we've seen him crawl before,
He's
like
the
a
Justin
spider.
of ghosts.
Legs.
So, real quick, before we get too far more into that, because there's a ton more to that place.
yeah.
What was it beforehand? That's what really makes it weird.
Yeah, it used to be a mental health institution.
Oh, happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of energies in places like those because you have people of all different kinds of mindsets going into that place. So it was that, and then it was geriatric center for a while after that too. So, and again, another one. So we have these feeder forms that can go in there for reasons why, because it's documented people have died there. So that helps, boost possibilities.
What with Edinburgh in mind? What do you think it's? Someone who used to live? Do you think it's something different? I mean, the creeper or the big guy. I forget what you reference him as.
Yeah, just call him the intimidating man, basically.
Call him Phil.
Phil.
Just see what he does. Maybe not. Maybe not. But do you think it used to be something in human form? Is it something different? What's your theory of the place?
Every time I've gone there, it's been more on the human side.
Okay.
But they're just nasty suckers. They might have been nasty in real life, mean, that kind of thing. And the creeper, I think he's just taking the form of what he had. He might have been a patient that was there and he wasn't fully functional, So that's what I think happened there. Now, we've seen other places that have transformed. Places like Farrar School, for example, have opened up to the public. And over the years, they seem that the energy changes.
And those noises upstairs would be
Spirits. The
Spirit.
spirit of your wife.
Anyways, Farrar's an interesting place. And these are all Iowa places because we're based in Iowa. I've been there one time. I didn't get any indication that joint is haunted.
When did you go?
Right when they started to kind of open their doors and stuff. And, maybe it's changed since then because there was just my dad showed me because my dad's really into this stuff. He likes going on investigations and all this. But with Farrar in mind, we went there and it was just like, okay, it's an old building. It's kind of creepy. It's not kept up, that kind of thing. But then they show these dudes, and I can't remember the name of the show, but that guy was such a little girl about the place. Like, you would have thought this place was the gateway to hell. And I just don't get that vibe from that joint.
No. And again, remember, each night can be different.
Yeah.
Energies can do their things when they want to do them. But even back then, because we kind of helped them start opening to the public. This is back in 2007. And even then, it was more of a friendly energy that was there. It didn't seem as crowded. Now there's like a heaviness there. And there's investigators that have gone there that will tell you the boiler room is not a very friendly place anymore. Now, why? And we think, as theory, we don't know who it was or when it was, but somebody that went in there maybe conjured up something, left something behind, that kind of thing.
Attracted something maybe because
Possibly.
that's what you're looking for because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just I like I said, I watch some of these shows and I look at that joint and I'm like, I don't think that place is haunted. So you got.
Do you think that people going into the place, hoping that there's something there, then has drawn stuff in? Okay.
Yep.
Like
you can do that. It's like a suggested play, basically. It's like, okay, I want this place to be haunted, and some of them can just leave their own energy there, know. And that's why I preach all the time. It's like, if you get in this field, try to do it with a clear mind. Don't do it if you have a drug addiction. Don't do it if you have,
drop your bag,
home.
drop your baggage at the door.
Yes. Yep.
I think that might be a good place to go from there. Is say somebody is watching this and they want to get into this, like, what are your, I don't know, you could say, what are your three best pieces of advice, or what should they know before they do this?
Well, first of all, tag along with other team, a reputable one, try to do that, try to get that experience, go to these public events first and see if it's something you really want to do, because like you said earlier, it's kind of boring. It's not what people think. There's nobody levitating. There's, blood dripping from the walls. It just doesn't happen.
It's a lot of sitting in a dark room.
Yes.
Going, hey, are you there? And you, like, the first time you go do it, you feel like a moron.
Yeah. As that's one of the hardest things I have new investigators get over is the fact, that mindset, I'm just talking to a wall, and they run out of things to say. But once things start happening, then they get over that gradually, but it's a learning process.
Yeah, but then you get like your first EVP, or your first thing where you walk out and you're like, I don't know what just happened in there, but something just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So what else? Or before you go on to your other things, what makes a reputable team? How would they know?
Well, somebody who's been around, I would even up it to at least 2, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Because you all have those fly-by-night teams that happen, and they group of high school kids are, oh, this is cool, and then something happens to them, like, and they don't want to do it anymore. Don't get involved with something like that. Those who get back with the client, that's a big thing, because a lot of these like cases we take on, they're to help families and people like that, which TV shows have kind of steered away from that a little bit. They're going to all these public places that people might not need help. It's just money making.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to what they need to know. Okay, so we've got reputable team. Leave your baggage at the door. Thanks to Justin.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're the creeper.
Ooh.
Kind of the creeper.
What else would you say?
Patience.
Patience.
A lot of patience.
Okay.
So when you're reviewing evidence, because that will take patience, when you're going out there in the field to try to obtain evidence, that will take patience. And I really recommend another thing. Somebody getting into this, have some kind of a solid faith foundation of some kind. Don't just go in it, because spirits, especially evil ones, will know. If you don't call upon whatever your higher power is, a lot of times I've seen people get in trouble. So it's good to have something, kind of a protective shield.
You've got no backup.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got no one, you don't have the bouncer at the door, or someone looking over his shoulder looking.
Bumps in the night, in the day, actually.
My wife.
So, I mean, should somebody go into this about half skeptical?
It can help, yep. I think, though, to have an open mind. And I recommend anybody going here to have an open mind. If you're like a die-hard skeptic where everything that happens, even if it's unexplainable, is just, oh, it was a gust of wind, or, oh, it was a breeze, or, I didn't see that, or they're in denial, they're not going to be truthful.
Skeptical, but looking. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they can be even more, and those people tend to be more so hard science, which is wonderful. That's great. We're open to both, but it's wonderful when they do that, and they're just going in there and they might ignore the hair standing up. They might ignore deja vu. Those things are more on the spiritual side. They're just tune them out, like most people do on a day-to-day basis.
Before we get going here, we got a couple pieces of evidence that, just so we can see here, pulled up some of the pictures. They're kind of easier to put. We'll put up grab some highlights and put them up of some of Eric's adventures as he tries to fend off ghosts with his flaming sword. You should see it, man. He pulled that thing out. It was like, wow.
Gladius?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was. So we got here, it looks like you and some girl looking at the moon. Possibly.
Yeah, it's Investigator Jackie. She's one of our senior ones. She's been with us since the beginning. And we're just aiming around. There's actually a house that was across the street that we're kind of aiming it at. But the interesting thing about this is we didn't see this with our own eyes, this white thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of came up to us because we were asking around that time, like, can you show yourself? Is there anybody here with us? That kind of thing. And we get a picture of this. And the thing with this is it's 35 millimeter. We have more success with old school film than we do with digital.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
So what do you think this is? Just some kind of fog? Do you think there was something actually there? Do you think it just showed up on film? What do you think
I think we call that ectoplasm. It's a form of a white, foggy substance that's believed that when you touch it, or if you walk through it, it feels kind of cobwebby.
Okay.
That's what people have experienced, and time again, they say the same experience. So that's what I think that is. Now, is it trying to take shape of something? I don't know, because it only showed up in one photo.
Would there be anything with the corner, or is that just light?
That was in a lot of them. It's just the way that the camera came out.
Okay.
Yeah. So that stuff we ignore.
Okay. Next up here, as we go through, what is this little guy?
Spirit Interceptor. They're our powerhouses. We have a couple of them. They're kind of like our machine investigators.
We went on an investigation, and yeah, I've actually investigated with Eric one time.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
Never again. And we went and did a cemetery in Polk City, really old cemetery, and he pulls out this little bastard. And I think he had more fun driving this around just in the middle.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Tell us what this little interceptor does here.
So they have Velcro basically all over the place on them. So we can actually exchange equipment, put different equipment on it, and we drive it around. Main point of why this one was created was to try to get in areas where you might not want to send a person. There's maybe small crawl spaces or things like that, and we'd send it in there. But then also that thinking outside of the box. You know, a lot of places that we go to, spirit might be looking at us kind of like how some of us might feel when you're talking to thin air, you know. Oh, really? No, I'm not going to do that for you. Yeah. So we actually created this, and it's brought out curiosity, especially with maybe children spirits.
Okay.
Because it's something new and looks maybe like a toy, you know, that kind of thing, and they come out. And we've captured several clips and EVPs, and we have motion camera on it that we can put on it, and photos that we've got. So it gets some evidence for us.
Nice. One other picture here before we'll finish up. You've got an orb and a face, possibly.
Yep, that one, it's kind of like the Avatar Man. That's kind of what we call them. Just kind of these indigo apparitions. Prettiest thing you'd ever see. It was down in Bentonsport, Iowa. This wasn't officially with Endeavors, but I was before with another team, and we went there. I took pictures of this. It was actually still frame grabs from a camera, actually. Okay. So we caught that. I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't look right. We backed up, pulled them out, and we freeze-framed it. It was like, holy cow. And it was in the darkness of this room, because there's a room that's kind of like a closet area. This is an old church that sits in Bentonsport. Okay. It doesn't get much use, but it was open to the public.
So did anybody see that, or just on camera?
Nope, it was just on camera.
And no other light source, huh?
Nope. Others have seen those with their naked eye, but not the same incident. Okay. It's separate incidents. Okay.
What are your thoughts on orbs? Because a lot of people, you know, they get the dust on the camera, they think it's an orb. Or a lot of people, for Justin, I mean, they'll get these spots of light on their camera, and they'll be like, there's some ghost groups that are like, no, it's nothing. What are your thoughts? Is it nothing? Is it something?
Personally, I believe that orbs are more so like an energy transference. It's not necessarily the spirit itself. It's caused by spirit trying to manipulate the energy in an area to try to do something. Because energy is light. You know, it's another way of looking at it. That's why our auras, you know, around us, for people that see auras. I can when I focus enough. And that's why we think that spirits are attracted to us, like a lighthouse. Like the same kind of a thing. We're a beacon. And so our team is not a big orb chasing team, but there's some of them that we look at and we're like, okay, that one might be legit. And there's clips, actually examples I pulled out for you on that, but they're ones that don't follow like the dust pattern, don't look like flurries. They're not fluttering, so they're not bugs. And yet, you know, they seem like they have their own light source. They're moving around at their own pace. And if it's like 8 hours of footage, and it's the only one that comes in and it does this, and there's no dust, nothing else, then it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because that straight up looks like somebody looking at a cell phone, you know, with the reflected light on their face.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That is a good idea of what that might be. But it's, with it being so boxy, that it's, you know.
And the funny thing is, too, I mean, I know you weren't there, so you take it with a grain of salt, but the woman was walking by, the people were walking by that room. There wasn't a living soul in that room.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff.
Now, I guess in something that I wondered about with, like, you know, and the reason that I mentioned earlier 35 millimeter as compared to digital, you know, to me, I look at some of that, the technology that you put into a camera and, you know, the way that they build it, you know, you can get an infrared camera that can see things that the human eye obviously can't see. I mean, there's plenty of ways to see beyond the human senses. Do you think, I mean, should there be a technological push to try and see, you know, is that what some of this is? We're catching, whether it be spiritual, whether it be something beyond the grave, whether it be something, you know, some sort of radiation that it's, you know, picking up, whatever the source may be. Do you think that there should be a technological answer?
Yeah, we actually tried to work on that aspect by having like a more modern digital audio recorder next to a old school tape recorder.
Okay.
And we would take them and push record at the same time on both, and one would get an EVP and the other one wouldn't. So why is that? They're recording the same thing.
Yeah.
But the analogness goes to the 35 millimeter point. It just seems to catch it more in its pure form. It doesn't catch as much dust and stuff like that. So most of the photos that we get from people that are like, hey, take a look at this, it's digital. It's modern stuff or cell phone pictures.
Yeah.
Imagine that, So a lot of them just, tell it like it is. It's like, well, that's dust or nope.
Yeah.
Somebody, it was 30 degrees in a cemetery. You went, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And some people get angry. They want it to be a ghost, but...
Yeah, I think everybody has that. They're like, I've got it. I've got the holy grail of evidence here. And then you're like, ah. So I remember being on one hunt where, I mean, it was a bug flying around the thing. And they're like, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. I'm like, I don't think it is.
That's why we train our new people, especially if they're going to watch the monitor for a DVR system. Do not talk about what you're seeing on there, because a lot of them, they'll think dust, or they think of that mindset.
No.
And they'll be like, oh, that's an orb. Oh, look at that one. Oh, wow, look at that one.
No.
There's so many. It's like, nope, somebody just forgot to pledge.
Yep. Well, plus, and I mean, you're leading the witness. Anybody then that sees that with that overlay, automatically, whether you want to, when you hear that, you either have to go with that or discount it. But either way, you've made a decision based off somebody else's observation.
Feeding off each other, too, which you tried on the spiritual side of things. Try to cut that down. If we notice that we're starting to all like, oh, I'm getting this man. I am, too. He has a top hat on. Oh, we stop. We recharge. We go out. Stop to clear our senses side.
There's a lot of great examples of if, like, say me and you were walking through a hallway and we saw something, we wouldn't say anything. Like, we acknowledge that we saw something. We wouldn't say any of the details. And then you would go to Eric and say, this is what I saw. And then I would go to Eric and say, this is what I saw.
Separate, yep.
And then it would be, oh, okay, you guys both saw, the big boobed lady at the Johnson.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean,
I mean, you always have to take into account, even when stuff is, you show the same scene to 4 different people and they're going to give you 4 different eyewitness accounts. Yeah. So
it's like telephone.
I mean, you have to, investigate that sort of almost, criminally.
Yeah, no, there's a fair amount of that in this. So, all right. So
do you, and I guess to go back to what we talked about here and cell phone pictures and the rest of it, do you think that the fact that everybody has, a video camera in their pocket now, and has for 10 years, because to me it seems like what the past 20 years of technology has proven is Bigfoot isn't real. Somebody would have him by now, but yet we don't see any decrease or maybe even an increase in this kind of stuff. Do you think that that's a good thing, or do you think that is more of it now that's being interpreted poorly because of the influx of media or material?
Yeah, I think it's, you have your everyday Joe on the street, and a lot of them, there's that, and then the wonderful technology, photoshopping and all that kind of crap, know. It presents challenges, so there's things that you have to look for, and I think that, like, the reason that there's not as many, like, newer, Loch Ness Monster type clips or something like that is because I think nowadays people are more, I guess, insensitive, like, they're not more willing to believe it.
I think everybody's more willing to believe something is fake.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you made that.
It's so easy to fake it now.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the websites I use for video editing stuff, they just came out with a whole pack of all the Star Wars ships. So I can put a TIE fighter in the background of anything, and that's kind of the way it is with stuff.
I really hope that you have a little one flying around my head now as you said that.
Just circles you.
Yeah, just comes in, circles me, and goes out the other side.
I'll figure out something. Maybe I'll put a penis above you.
There you go. I am a dickhead.
The creeper.
Oh, man. Oh, he even just took you down.
Yep.
With the creeper.
See, this is the first impression he gets of me. I'm creepy. Thanks a lot, dude.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. I love you.
I love you, too.
Well, you are wearing a David Bowie Labyrinth shirt, so.
Bowie rocks. That's a great movie. Come on.
They're getting ready to remake it, right? Or do a prequel or something?
No.
Yeah, I heard something about
Another
it.
remake. The days of the remakes.
Oh, believe me, we wanted to do a whole remake show.
May yet.
Yeah, we've got a request for that.
Okay.
ParanormalEndeavors.com is Eric's website. You can find them, all their information up there, plus how to get their lovely little DVDs. And is any of that on YouTube?
Some of it is, yep. It's some of the clips that we have on our Facebook page. That's also another place to go. We've gotten some cases through them, but they're more so on there than they are on the YouTube. I kind of update that page more frequently.
Okay, gotcha. We appreciate you coming out today.
Mm-hmm.
We had fun. I think I did. I think you seem a little bit more interested in it now.
Well, I'm not uninterested in it from the very beginning. I just have no. You've been, you've gone. You've got a little more of a
Background in it, maybe.
Well, background and yeah, I'm far more skeptical about everything than you are. So
I'm not saying I go into any house and go, "Yep, that's haunted."
Yeah.
But
skeptic, like we always say, is just somebody who hasn't had their time yet. You haven't had a reason to believe yet. So, and that's fine. We're okay with that.
okay.
I'm open to everything.
You want to go sometime?
Sure.
That could be. I don't know if we can lug you around with your boots.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get healed up first, but yeah, I'm open to everything. So,
All right.
if you change my mind, I'll be the first one to say it.
The paranormal emergency kit, which used to be a joke back in the day, is like tampons and change of underwear and things like that. We bring it with you.
I've never had the S your pants moment.
Yeah.
Like I've had the weird like EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
It's basically you have a recorder going and something answers you, and there's no source. It's just like, oh, that happened. But I've had that. I've had like a picture of an orb. I've had the last man out thing where it's like, get out of the room last, but not the like.
I'll get startled still. I mean, people
Really?
ask me that. It's like, because I come off the stoic, like, oh, you're good at what you do kind of thing. But there's still things, it's more of that, like, turn around, face is right there. Of course, I'm going to be like, whoa, but don't run. If you're in this field, it's like, don't run.
Imagine Eric just panics.
Then
It's like a bomb tech. If he's running, try and keep up. I had some friends of mine in college that tried to take me out to a place that was supposed to be, the creepiest place in Southeast Iowa or whatever, and nothing,
Really?
Yep. And that to the point that they're like, every time we come out here, there's something and we brought you, there's nothing, that
You ruined it.
that I ruined it,
Nice.
which is why I've always said that, my active skepticism maybe is the reason that, nothing happens, because, I put off, I drive spirits away much like I do people.
You ruined
Everything. Yeah, I ruin everything. Exactly.
Every ghost hunting person out there is pissed at Justin.
Yep.
Because he ruined Edinburgh.
I ruined everything.
Oh, God.
But and the thing that we tell people, too, careful what you ask for. There's a lot of people that want to seek this kind of stuff, and some of them will go through tools of, like, Ouija board use and things like that, and it's just... Then there's a lot of cases where they get more than they bargained for, and we've had to do cleanup duty on a couple before, where they've used something like that. And then they're like, oh, well, I just thought I was talking to my grandma, and now everything else is going on in my house.
And I welcomed in the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
I should have known Granny didn't want me to draw those pentagrams.
Next thing you know, the Goblin King is in.
Exactly. Jared comes in, steals the kid. There's a whole deal.
Oh, God. All right, friends, that is going to do it for 151 this week. We thank Eric Kline, team leader of Paranormal Endeavors. Yes, we had the live studio audience.
Thanks for having me.
If you like this video as much as Justin did, please make sure to follow us on these other fine media platforms.